屈养，可有些女生的话把男人当成太监。
Some men are willing to treat women like princesses, but some women treat men like eunuchs. In a hospital in Hubei, there are 240 paternity test results per week, and 95 of them show that the children are not biological. Over 90% of the clients are pregnant women, meaning many women want to know who the father of their child is. In Shangrao, Jiangxi, a man discovered after 16 years of marriage that none of his 3 daughters are his. When his wife found out, she actually blamed him for placing too much importance on blood relationships. Today, women often say that if they can live well on their own, why should they find a poor man to lower their standard of living? This saying is widespread among women. But isn't it true for men as well? If guys didn't have to worry about car loans, house loans, dating, or marriage, I can tell you they could live a carefree life. When my dad got married, he had a motorcycle. My grandpa had a bag of rice when he married. Nowadays, you need to have a dowry, a car, and a house to get married, right? And these are just part of the expenses for getting married. Think about the costs of dating. If your dad doesn't have $1 million in his hand, would you dare to spend money on a wedding? Plus, this era is not like back then. The pressure of life has completely cut off this generation of young people. Renting, eating, and working take up 90% of our energy. Weekends are only single days off, and overtime takes all our time. Those who claim to be independent women, let me tell you, only their spirit is independent.
就这个天价彩礼的事儿，你说恶不恶心？更有的人在这个互联网上。
Regarding the issue of high bride prices, it's really disgusting. Some people online say, don't worry, a man who spends money on you may not love you, but a man who doesn't spend money definitely doesn't love you. Look at this kind of value system. Is love today really measured by money? Let me tell you, the idea of a bride price is a traditional mindset. It's a sign of a lack of progress in thinking, right? Everyone needs to understand one thing: when a man and a woman get married, they are establishing a new family together. Even if the man pays a bride price, in the end, if they struggle with debt after marriage, it's still their shared responsibility, right? So, if he doesn't give a bride price, does that mean he doesn't care? What year are we in? If he doesn't love you, he won't love you, no matter the situation, right?
He does not want to get married. He just doesn't want to marry you. When I first heard this saying, I believed it without a doubt. I always thought that many people dream of love, and those who don't want to enter marriage just don't love enough. Because they don't love enough, they look for various excuses to delay bonding with their partner. Later, I realized the truth isn't so simple. Recently, there was a popular statistic in China. The marriage rate in China in 2018 was only 7.2 per thousand, the lowest in nearly 10 years. The more economically developed the region, the lower the marriage rate. Shanghai had the lowest at 4.4 per thousand, followed by Zhejiang at 5.9 per thousand. Guangdong and Beijing also had lower rates. This suggests one thing: more and more people are unwilling to get married. For young people, marriage and having children are no longer urgent or even essential. Traditional views of early marriage, having many children, and continuing the family line have become history. Nowadays, the pressure to get married is enormous. House, car, and dowry are standard requirements. The pressure to marry falls entirely on men. Dowries can easily be tens of thousands. Houses can be worth millions. Some reasonable women might agree to let the man pay a down payment and then both repay the mortgage. However, some women make sky-high demands, asking for a fully paid house. Many relationships fail because of dowry and housing. For most ordinary families, marrying off a son means depleting the entire family savings. It requires parents to spend their life savings and often still isn't enough, leading to debt. Most people progress while in debt, even though parents will give without expecting returns for their children. But some families simply can't afford it. Marriage fundamentally is about companionship and responsibility. Both are indispensable. When a man cannot bear that responsibility, he naturally becomes hesitant to marry. It's like many poor men. Their main reason for not wanting marriage isn't because they can't afford it. It's because they lack financial security, fear they can't handle the responsibility and can't provide happiness for a woman. So, they don't dare marry, and some even initiate breakups. In reality, many men without money still have women willing to marry them. Those women prioritize love above all. A man contemplating marriage considers many things, with money being crucial. They often believe that without a solid material foundation, love, family, and friendship are all empty. Not only must they prepare dowry and house before marriage, but post-marriage, they must handle family expenses, care for parents, and think about children. Most men also need to take on the responsibility of supporting elderly parents. These responsibilities deter many men from marriage. They might even give women the freedom to choose their happiness. For married couples, responsibility remains vital. No matter how tempting the world might be, as long as both remember their responsibilities to each other, their marriage will stay long-lasting and stable. I once read a memorable question. What's the main reason you want a divorce? Someone replied, too tired. Before marriage, one can work overtime or relax at will. But after marriage, there's no time to choose overtime or rest. After working overtime for half a month, one wants to rest for a few days, but is pulled by the wife to go shopping, meet friends, or visit in-laws, using the excuse of making up for half a month of missed companionship. Sometimes, you just want to laze around, but facing the mortgage and planning for children makes it impossible. The worst part is working hard, yet still being afraid to have kids, fearing they'll suffer due to your struggles. People say, in an adult's life, nothing is easy. The older you get, the more you realize everything involves hardship. Even playing games all day can be exhausting. Marriage even more so. Before marriage, one lives carefreely, only needing to resist the pressure to marry. But after marriage, a man has to bear the family's expenses, balance career and family, and must consider having children. Under such pressure, men naturally become more resistant to marriage, as not marrying means avoiding life's burdens. I once read on Weibo, as we grow up, we become more restrained, less enthusiastic or expressive, and more cautious about feelings. Initially, I thought it was about maturity, understanding love shouldn't be casually declared. Upon truly maturing, I realized it's not just that. More importantly, many understand that love isn't just about romantic outings. It entails responsibility. Marriage involves costs. Maintaining a relationship requires effort and compromise, and daily life brings pressure. These factors make many men, though longing for love and marriage, hesitant to step into marriage, fearing it's a prison.